What is going on, everyone? Happy Red Friday. Come on in. It is time for another episode of the Red Friday live chat. Yes. Exciting times indeed. We are now in the full swing with the off season now. The Super Bowl is over with. The parade happened. Obviously, some good, some bad from that. The Chiefs have already been signing future players on future reserve contracts and even have already started working on replacements. So it is that time indeed. The Kansas City Chiefs, they have been getting to work, and a lot of news this week, especially today with the salary cap. And I kind of want to start there with the salary cap because that is the big one, of course, with the salary cap being much higher than expected. Essentially, a $13 million increase than what was originally projected, essentially giving teams a $30+ million extra to spend than expected. So that is pretty damn good news for several teams, including the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the Chiefs have to think about getting back Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed. Those are some guys that they need to re-sign. And by the way, for those of you coming into the chat, appreciate you guys watching live on Facebook and YouTube. Please comment below with a question you got. I know already got a question on here, and I'll get to that later on. If you guys have any questions, comments, whatever is on your mind, that is what the Red Friday live chat is all about. Comment below, speak your mind. Let me know how you're feeling on everything Kansas City Chiefs related as we get closer and closer to the draft. We're now doing all this offseason talk here, but Chris Jones, he's going to cost you a shit ton of money. L'Jarius Sneed, going to cost you a lot of money. So the Chiefs have to figure out a way to work around those guys' potential contracts while also trying to maybe restructure some other deals on the table. We've already heard some news that the Chiefs are trying to work on redoing Mahomes' deal again. Imagine that. But the good news is, with this salary cap increase, it does allow you to bring back both Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed maybe a little easier than you thought. I say a little bit because it is still going to be a very difficult thing to do, trying to bring back everybody while also maybe restructuring some other deals, trying to extend guys who are currently going into the final year of their rookie deals, such as Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Nick Bolton. I've been talking about those guys for a very long time and how the Chiefs need to think about keeping those guys, especially those two offensive linemen. You guys know my thoughts on that. So that's what you have to work with. But this whole salary cap increase here does really bode well for Kansas City. Now, my biggest fear with this is that guys like Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed might be able to look at the salary cap increase and they'll say, hey, you know what? Maybe I can stretch things out and ask for a couple million more. And essentially, listen, Chris Jones is going to be making a lot of money. He's got a lot of money coming his way. Same with Sneed. And I just wonder if those two and their agents might tell Brett Veach, hey, we know you can afford us, and my client did a lot for you. We're going to want a few more $1 million. I'll tell you now, this whole salary cap increase, it sounds like it's great for everybody, but there are some teams that probably would suffer from this. Teams like the New England Patriots, they've got a couple of offensive tackles who are considered among some of the best available free agents going if they don't re-sign. Trent Brown, Onwenu, those guys might not want to come back to New England unless you're willing to overpay them. And you know, a team like New England, they can't afford to lose guys because they are one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. By the way, again, just a quick reminder for those of you coming into the live chat, appreciate it. Comment below if you guys have questions, comments, whatever's on your mind. Please comment below. If you guys have questions, I'll get to those shortly. Another team that might suffer from this, the Dallas Cowboys. They've got an offensive tackle in Tyron Smith that they've got to think about. I think it was mentioned on Sirius XM NFL radio that he had yet to play a full season. or hasn't played a full season in a few years. By the way, all these rumors about Dak Prescott and how much they're going to pay him per year. I'm hearing rumors up to $60 million, not 16, 6D, 60. And I don't know why the hell you would ever pay Dak Prescott that kind of money when he hasn't done jack shit in the playoffs. But shit, man, you're the Dallas Cowboys. You want to overpay your quarterback? Have at it. And if you do that, that might put you in a bad position with Tyron Smith, unless you're willing to also overpay him. But at that point, it's going to really put you in a bad spot with the salary cap, even with this increase here. Oh, lovely. My camera just decided to unplug here. Okay. Yeah, let's just let that happen here. Okay. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to go with this for now. I love technology. Especially when it fails. Oh, okay. I don't know why that happens. I really do not know why that happens. Elgato, I love you guys, but fix your shit, please. Where was I? Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys are probably going to have to overpay their offensive tackle if they really want to keep him. If they're serious about giving Dak Prescott the money that he's supposedly seeking, good luck. I think this benefits teams like the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Bengals. Obviously, the Chiefs and 49ers were just in the Super Bowl, and they've got a lot they need to work on if those two teams want to both go back to the Super Bowl, especially for the Chiefs who are trying to three-peat. I already mentioned the Chiefs. You look at the 49ers, they've got two wide receivers they've got to think about. Guys like Deebo Samuel, for a year now, people have been wondering, is he going to return to the 49ers? Well, with this salary cap increase, it definitely helps him out a lot. Definitely helps the 49ers a lot. And they also got to think about extending Brandon Ayuk. That's a big one as well. And eventually, Brock Purdy is going to want a new deal. I think he's entering the final year of his rookie deal. I don't have that in front of me, but that is also a huge one right there. That is where the 49ers will probably benefit from today's news. I mentioned the Bengals. They've got a lot of wide receivers to think about. I think they've got two free agent wide receivers, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, and they've got to think about extending Jamar Chase. Yeah, that's a team that probably can now do those things with the situation they're in. And if they can redo Orlando Brown's deal, as we all know, completely overpaid, that can help them out even more. So again, I'll even throw another team out, the Buffalo Bills. They probably need to pay Stephon Diggs more than they might like to, and try to keep Gabe Davis. I know Gabe Davis dealt with some injuries this year, didn't play in that game against the Chiefs in the divisional round, but you need all weapons on hand for Josh Allen. And that would be huge for the Buffalo Bills. So there are some teams that benefit from this. There are also some teams that probably might not like this as much as some might think, because it's so easy to sit here and say, well, yeah, this benefits everyone. Now everyone can do their best to keep their free agents. But there are some guys that might still not want to go back. They want to go to a contender because they know they can still make a lot more money elsewhere and try to win. Let's see, the Matt Araiza signing. I don't have a whole lot more to say other than what I said on the podcast. The guy just has a cannon for a leg. I mean, he really does. No, he may not be able to throw the football as well as Tommy Townsend for fake punt situations, but you know what? I mean, those punts right there, those 80-yard punts totally make up for it. Now, if he has to punt from his own 45 or 50, can he pin teams inside the 10 or 5, like the way Tommy Townsend and some other punters are able to do? That's something to keep in mind with Araiza. But I'm very excited for Araiza coming in. Listen, Tommy Townsend, love the guy, just like any other Chiefs fan, but he's going to cost a lot. And I said this back in August the 3rd. I said the Chiefs are probably going to be looking for a new punter after they win Super Bowl 58. I said it in those exact terms right there. That's exactly how things panned out. So, it's a business, man. It happens sometimes, and there's no need to overpay punters, especially when you've got Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed to worry about. Last thing I want to touch on, and then I'll get to your guys' comments, and I see a lot more people coming in. I appreciate you guys. If you haven't done so already, please smack the like or the heart emoji, laughing emoji. I don't care. What are those emojis? and ask your question below. Whatever questions you have, I'll get to those shortly. The Antonio Pierce comments, I did not address this on the podcast, but I'll do it now. So Antonio Pierce is essentially trying to tell people that they have the secret sauce to beating Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs because they beat him on Christmas. Listen, I know a lot of people are crazy about Antonio Pierce and they're excited for him and they think he's going to be the guy who turns the Raiders around. Let's calm down here, folks. Listen, let me just say this about the Raiders. Because every year we hear it's going to be their year. They got what's his name, Devontae Adams, and they were supposed to dominate ever since they got Devontae Adams, and they haven't even finished above 500. They've finished in the last 21 years. They've only finished above 500 twice. Okay. 19 of the last 21 seasons have been 500 or below. Now, obviously, with a 17-game schedule, you can't finish at 500 exactly. But with the 16-game schedule, including all of that, you've only finished at 500 or below, or have finished at 500 or below 19 times, only above it twice. Let's just look at some of the games here that the Raiders were a part of. They beat Minnesota 3-0. And that's not great. It's not great at all. They scored 16 points on the Jets. It's not impressive. When they played the Chiefs, they got 2 defensive touchdowns out of that. And listen, credit to them. They capitalized on those 7 seconds where Mahomes and the Chiefs offense just completely lost all focus and allowing the Raiders to essentially win in those 7 seconds. Who's your quarterback going to be? Because as much as they love to flex on that Christmas game, that's not going to pan out well for you in the long run. It's really not. The Raiders beat the Chiefs once every 3 years. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, in general, the Chiefs still own you. I mean, the Chiefs are literally playing in Super Bowls. By the way, they just played one at the stadium that the Raiders play their home games in. The Raiders have yet to play a playoff game in their brand new stadium, which is a great stadium, by the way. I love the stadium. Been there twice. Once for a concert, once for a Chiefs Raiders game. In fact, it was this past year I went. But what's the goal here? Is the goal to just pull off an upset win against the Chiefs once every 3 years? Because Max Crosby did an interview saying that he wanted the Chiefs to beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl, which did happen, because he wants to be the team that knocks the Chiefs off their pedestal. Okay, let's say you go 2-0 against the Chiefs this year. I mean, what does that mean at the end of the day? They're not going to give you Super Bowl banners for beating the best team in the NFL. And by the way, the Raiders are not going to go 2-0 against the Chiefs. They're just not. With what you have Devontae Adams, who's supposedly on his way to the Jets, apparently does not want to be in Vegas, and there have already been a lot of rumors about him being very unhappy in Vegas. Max Crosby, who's great, but you're going to need a lot more than just Max Crosby. So the Raiders think they have the secret recipe to beat Patrick Mahomes. I'm telling you right now, if you do not go 2-0 against Mahomes, this is going to be one of those did not age well type of things. If you go 0-2 against the Chiefs, which will happen, unless the Chiefs are going to rest all their starters in a Week 18 game against the Raiders, if that's the way the schedule ends up being, then I'm sorry, you're going to be laughed at by everybody. So this is going to be one of those things where people are going to bookmark and screenshot these comments made by AP. Listen, you're in a division now where I think the Chargers are going to be better with Harbaugh. I think the Broncos are trending in the right direction. I think they just need to get rid of Russell Wilson and get a more serious quarterback. I like Russell Wilson. I think he did a phenomenal job in Seattle, but he's been nothing but a joke in Denver. I mean, they just have not lived up to expectations. He's been terrible. I call it like I see it, okay? He's been bad. At the end of the day, the Raiders have a lot to do. If they just forget about the Super Bowl, just trying to compete in this division. And I do think the Chargers and Broncos are going to improve this offseason. I really do. This is going to be a three-headed race, a three-team race for the AFC West. I think those two teams can challenge the Chiefs this year. But I'm telling you right now, if you go 0-2 against Mahomes, which will happen, these comments are going to come back to bite you in the ass. I'm telling you guys right now, okay? Because Raiders fans are thrilled that Antonio Pierce is now the full-time head coach. How many years do you guys give it until they start calling for his job? Raiders fans are going to do it. They do it with every single head coach they hire. Oh, let me pull something up here. Raiders PFR. Year by year record. Okay. Because ever since they lost that Super Bowl in humiliating fashion to the Bucs, with Bill Callahan leaving, who have they had? Okay. North Turner. Remember North Turner? North Turner. Okay. Art Shell, Lane Kiffin, Tom Cable, Hugh Jackson, Dennis Allen, Tony Sperano, Jack Del Rio, John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, Josh McDaniels, and Tony Pierce. I mean, I've already lost count right there. I mean, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different coaches in the last 20 seasons, excuse me. Antonio Pierce, as far as I'm concerned, is just another statistic to that list. I'm telling you right now, AP's not the guy. He's just not. You really think that 3-0 loss against Minnesota, you think that's impressive? Yeah, you beat the Chiefs. Cool. You get credit. Don't get me wrong. You get credit for winning, but let's also be honest. If we're going to use that as why AP is going to be so great for the Raiders, what did you do offensively in that game? Patrick Mahomes was the best thing for the Raiders in that game. Good luck with it, man. And you know what? Just like Raiders fans love to talk about how this is their year and all this bullshit every single year. And they always come on my page and they've got a lot to say. And then whenever things don't work out, they all like fade away. And there's only like 1 or 2 Raiders fans that are still loud and proud about their team. And everyone else is just hiding because they're too ashamed that they were wrong again about their football team. I'm going to be the one that's going to be here in November. And I'm going to say, I told you so. So just be ready for that. Just be ready for that. All right, time for your guys' questions. If you guys have a question, comment, whatever's on your mind, please ask it below, and I will get to your guys' comments here. Jim says, do you think MVS will be cut? Yeah, this is a really interesting one here because it's so easy to think emotionally with MVS, and I'll even mention McCole Hardman here and want to bring them back because of their contributions in the postseason. McCole Hardman played much better in the Super Bowl. Obviously, in the Buffalo game, did not do very well. MVS played a lot better in the postseason in general. The Buffalo game had 2 huge catches. Even got wide open at one point in the end zone, and Mahomes overthrew him. Should have had him in that corner route there. But in the AFC Championship game, MVS was the guy who had that big catch on 3rd and long to ice the game and punch your ticket to the Super Bowl. And in the Super Bowl, MVS had a touchdown catch. Is he going to get cut? I don't know. If he's not willing to restructure his deal, I do think so. You can't think emotionally with these kinds of things. And I know Brett Veach won't. As fans, we might. But Brett Veach won't. You have to think about their overall body of work. Can't just be, a couple of big moments here. Unless he was like getting 100-yard games every playoff game, perhaps. But you just have to think long run. I think the Chiefs want to keep MVS. I think they believe in him. They know what his potential is. He did great his first year here when the Chiefs won Super Bowl 57. But last year, or whatever you want to call it now, yeah, very disappointing. 2 big drops that had easy touchdowns and struggled to get open on offense. And he wasn't the only wide receiver. A lot of wide receivers struggled. So I do think he'll be cut if he doesn't agree to an extension. Efrain says L'Jarius Sneed will get tagged. I think the tag would be more so used on Jones than Sneed. I can see Veach and Sneed coming to terms on an agreement of some sort. I can see that happening. I can see the Chiefs maybe struggling with Chris Jones, maybe not as much now with the salary cap increase, but if they're not able to come to terms, I can see the tag used on Jones rather than Snead. Are they going to get a fullback to block for Pacheco? Imagine a defense fear when they see them coming. That's a really good question, Jim, because the Chiefs did not use a fullback, and that is a position that is kind of a dying breed in the NFL right now. I don't know. I mean, you could probably use a tight end for those kinds of situations. The Chiefs didn't really do much of that. I'd like to see the Chiefs get a fullback for this offense. I think I understand, you're a pass heavy team, but in running situations, I think there are a lot of things you can do to help out Pacheco. I think Pacheco struggled a lot in the Super Bowl, and maybe having a fullback would have changed that, in my opinion. And you don't have to get a guy like Kyle Juszczyk. I prefer a Tony Richardson type of guy, someone that doesn't run or catch the ball as much, but is a phenomenal blocker, essentially like the Jason Dunn of tight ends. That's what I'd like to see. I agree, Blake. We do need to re-sign Drew Tranquill. And again, with this salary cap increase, who knows if him and Willie Gay, if bringing them back becomes easier. That's a lot of money to pay someone to choke every year in the playoffs. Yeah. Listen, I think every quarterback is overpaid, including Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowl wins. So you can kind of live with the fact that you're paying him a lot of money. But what are you paying Lamar Jackson for? What are you paying potentially Dak Prescott all this money for? Like, what have they done for you? Jalen Hurts hit the bank this offseason. He's what, 2-3 in postseason play? Why? 1 Super Bowl appearance does it? Justin Herbert hit the bank. And this is a guy that's about to play for his 3rd head coach in his very short career. And all he has to go off of is he has one massive blown lead in the playoffs. I know it's not all on him, but still. I mean, I just don't know at the end of the day. I don't know. I went over this in the offseason. I can't, if it was the offseason or early in training camp when we were talking about how running backs are not getting the money that they want. But quarterbacks, man, they're just getting all kinds of record-breaking deals. And I just don't think that's reasonable there. You need a running back to thrive in a system here. Purdy still has 2 years left. Okay, that's good to know. I was not aware of that. Do I think the Bengals will get rid of T. Higgins? I mean, technically they're not getting rid of him because he's a free agent. But I think he's going back, especially with the salary cap increase. He's going back. Tyler Boyd's going to go back, and they're going to be able to pay Jamar Chase too. So, Mystic Farzine, man, I'm trying. I'm trying. Appreciate it, Brett. Thank you. I don't think he is. Yeah, Raiders will always Raider. Look, and I'm not trying to just be a hater on this football team because people are like, oh, why do you always hate on Derek Carr? Well, it's not hating if I'm right. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to, just do the whole like flexing thing here. I'm really not. Here's the thing with the Raiders, because it's been 20, 21 years with them. I'm at a point now with the Raiders. I'll believe it when I see it. Okay. And I was actually one of those people who thought they would improve last year, at least a little bit, and they couldn't even do that. So, you had the best offense you could have asked for with Devontae Adams. What's the name of the tight end who got traded to the Giants? Married to the Las Vegas Aces player. His name escapes my mind right now. Josh Jacobs. Okay, hold on. Giants tight end. It's bothering me. What is the name of that tight end? Darren Waller. That's what I was thinking of. Hunter Renfrow. I mean, the Raiders last year had a lot of great players on paper, but they failed. And I think Derek Carr was a part of it. I think Josh McDaniels was a part of it. The team did not play like one cohesive unit. If you traded, now again, we're talking 2022 roster. If you traded Kansas City's pass catchers such as Kelsey, Juju, MVS, running back, of course, was Isaiah Pacheco, still is. And then if you consider the Raiders group of skill players, Devontae Adams, Renfro, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, if they were to swap, and obviously you don't ever want to see Travis Kelce in a Raiders jersey, but you would be getting a lot of great players for your offense. I mean, the Raiders do have the personnel for it. I mean, it seems like they're kind of fading away now. Darren Waller's no longer there. Devontae Adams sounds like he's on his way to the Jets. Good luck to Antonio. You really think Antonio Pierce is going to rebuild this football team with what? Magic? I mean, this is not a Disney movie. You're not getting a miracle here. You are in the gauntlet of divisions here, okay? And I know the AFC North probably definitely a better division than the AFC West, but you have Harbaugh that's now with the Chargers, and I think they're going to improve this year. So get ready for that. Layla says half a year to a year for Antonio Pierce. That might even be generous, Layla. Therese is asking, will the Chiefs give Sky Moore another year? This is a good question. I don't know. Look, I've been comparing him to Rashee Rice. They're both second-round draft picks. Rice was drafted a year after Moore, but we haven't seen Moore make any progress here. And with the issues you had on offense last year with the drops, you can't afford those things. You just can't. That's why Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, MVS, those guys might be on their way out. I mean, I hate to give up on a second round pick, but you can't afford to allow Mahomes to deal with receivers that aren't showing any progress here. Kadarius Toney took a massive step back, and I was excited for KT. I really, really was, because in 2022, when the Chiefs got him midseason, yeah, he got hurt again, but he picked up the offense real fast. And I compared him to Josh Gordon. I was about to say Josh Jacobs. I compared him to Josh Gordon because Josh Gordon, who once was the best wide receiver in the NFL statistically for a season with the Cleveland Browns, he could not pick up this Chiefs offense. In fact, Josh Jacobs, I just did it again. Josh Gordon, he's in what? The XFL, USFL, UFL, whatever they're calling it now. That's where he went, unfortunately. So Kadarius Toney took a big step back this year. Not good. Sky Moore, what progress did we get from Sky Moore this year? I don't know if there was any. Maybe even a step back because he was not available for the Chiefs for a lot of games this season. So Chiefs have some things to think about with the receivers, including a guy who they took in the second round. Michael says it's like the Dolphins beating Brady and the Patriots in Miami a lot, yet Patriots hoisting trophies. Yes, I loved when Raiders fans were like, yeah, well, at least we host Super Bowls. Congratulations. You will probably host many Super Bowls in that beautiful stadium of yours. The Chiefs will be hoisting Super Bowls. No, Gray was a fullback. Yeah, they didn't use him as much, though. And listen, you can kind of get away with how you line up tight ends and all that stuff. Sometimes you see the Chiefs put a running back and a wide receiver right there with Mahomes in shotgun formation. So the Chiefs do a lot of different things with their offense. You see that in some other offenses as well. But I don't know. I would just prefer someone that is a full-time fullback. Because if you have a formation like in short goal line situations, short yardage situations where you have Noah Gray, Travis Kelce, and Blake Bell, and you have Isaiah Pacheco lined up in the backfield, and then you also have a fullback right there. I love the sound of that on paper. It sounds exciting. And I would like to think the Chiefs can pick up a first down with that unit on the field. You've got to. What's your prediction on Chris Jones' deal to be like? $30+ million, which is what the salary cap increase is. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I know in the parade he said a lot of things about coming back and all that stuff, but I don't know, man. Players say a lot of things to their fans. What do they mean at the end of the day? I mean, I don't know. I remember Derek Carr. Well, I mean, mentioning Derek Carr earlier, with the whole situation that happened in Vegas and how he got benched and he chose to not play, and not just not play, not even show up because he didn't want to be a distraction, which is complete bullshit. He made a comment saying that he would have been willing to play for free. You hear so many players say this kind of crap. Oh, it's not about the money. Yeah, the situation sucked. I would have been willing to play for free. No, you would not. Shut up. I hate when players do that bullshit. If you're not in it for the money, then why do you make millions and millions of dollars doing what you do? I'm not faulting you for making millions of dollars. You earned it. Enjoy. But don't tell me you're not in it for the money. Come on. Don't do that. I hate when players do that. Yeah, you were being nice. Yeah. Could a 3-year deal work? I think so. Because you got to keep in mind, Chris Jones he's going to be what, 30? Yeah, he's going to turn 30 on July the 3rd. So, you give him a 3-year deal. He's going to be what, 33? At that point, he might start to decline. So I think a 3-year deal would be perfect. And Chris Jones, at what it wants to do after that, do what your heart desires. Blaine Gabbert, is he for sure QB2 next year? No, he. What did Blaine Gabbert sign? Blaine Gabbert, because I thought it was a 1-year deal. Yeah, it's a 1-year deal. So he is set to be a free agent. Who is his agent, by the way? Ben Dogra. Okay. Not a big name that you usually think of with those kinds of things. But yeah, he is set to be an unrestricted free agent. He's 34 years old. So you have to think about that as well. And he's won a couple of Super Bowls as a backup. Yeah, his career didn't pan out well, but he's got a couple of rings to enjoy himself with. Well, how much money did he make, by the way? 1.1 million. Yeah, backups are getting a lot of money now. A lot of money. I don't know. When you look at the NFL free agents for quarterback, there's one name that kind of does stick out to me, and that's Tyrod Taylor. And I'll even mention Teddy Bridgewater too, because those guys can do some things with their feet. And Andy Reid does a really good job with quarterbacks like that. So I'd like to see the Chiefs try to maybe go after him if they don't bring back Blaine Gabbert. The Chiefs completed the greatest Super Bowl run. They're the only team in history to beat 3 of the top 4 offenses. Yep. Beat both number 1 teams. Yep. All that good stuff. Keep flexing on that, Matthew. I love it. How much higher chance you think it is we can re-sign both Jones and see what the cap jump today? Yeah, I mentioned earlier, I think it definitely helps. The only thing I worry about, and I know some of you guys are probably going in and out of the live stream, so we might have some new viewers as the night's gone on, but if you missed it earlier, I said that my only fear is with the cap increasing, the agents of those 2 guys, Jones and Snead, might say, hey, you want to stay in Kansas City? You might be able to demand a few more $1 million. Listen, Chris Jones' agents, the Katz brothers, they're not like very well known in the sports world and amongst agents, NFL agents. They are looking to get a record-breaking deal with Chris Jones so they can put that on their resume and potentially get more clients. That's what they're looking for in all of this. And I don't know, man. I'm just not a fan of those agents there. So kind of makes me worried a little bit what's going to happen in that negotiation there. Hopefully they don't demand more money because of the increase, and they realize, yeah, the Chiefs have got to do some other things if we all want to three-peat. I mean, listen, you're going to be making a shit ton of money. Like Chris Jones got for sure going to be making 25, maybe even $30 million. Probably going to end up being 30 million, whether it's here or elsewhere. You don't need much more than that. I mean, come on. Come on. Wish we would have kept Buechele. Yeah, would have been nice. But I think Chris Oladokin can do some things if he gets an opportunity as a backup. How many picks could the Chiefs get in return if they tag and trade Snead? I don't know. I don't think you would get an overhaul like Tyreek Hill, like the Tyreek Hill trade. I think you would get a big overhaul if you tag and trade Chris Jones. I think you're better off getting a lot of draft picks. If you're seeking a lot of extra draft picks, you're better off tagging and trading Jones than Snead, in my opinion. Mike Evans, is he a Chief next season? I think there was a solid chance before today with the salary cap increase. I think the Bucs are another team that kind of benefits from this. They can keep Mike Evans, who's at 1,000 yards every single year he's been in the NFL, it feels like. And by the way, I love how the next comment is from a guy named Michael Evans. How great is that? Just like the script said, right? I think the Bucs can definitely keep Baker Mayfield as well with the cap increase there. So I don't think he's going to be a Chief next year, Gary. No. Chiefs struggled on 3rd and short. Yeah. 4th. Yeah. Even when we had Mike Burton. Yeah. And I don't know why that was the case. You're right, Michael. That was the issue. I'd like to think the Chiefs can be better about that. I think the Chiefs' running game this season in 3rd and short situations were better this year. Were they not? It just felt like they were better about those kinds of things. So I'd like to see the Chiefs get a fullback and try to be better about that in 2024. It was awesome to see Phenom drop his new song. I don't know what you're talking about, Eric, but hey, sounds like someone's got some music. Good on them. Good fallback would be nice. And since Andy won't let Mahomes do a QB sneak, that just drives me crazy, man. Like, why? Jalen Hurts is in every, like, the tush push that he's like, I mean, that whole pile right there, and he doesn't get hurt. One freak accident injury, and they refuse to do it ever again with Mahomes. Do you guys remember in week 1, Mahomes was trying to run, and a Detroit Lions player hit him hard from behind? I mean, you have a better chance of getting hurt from that than a QB sneak. I mean, look at that Joseph Osai hit out of bounds last year in the AFC Championship game. I mean, Mahomes could have got hurt in that situation there. I mean, he's had a couple of close sideline incidents a few times in the past. I mean, those are much more dangerous, though. I don't know. Week 1 looked weird. I assumed he would get a different agent. Yeah, that was just... And listen, I know he came back, played well right away, and all was essentially forgiven, and I love Chris Jones. I really, really do. But how do you make sense of that? That you are physically there at the stadium and you're not playing for your team. And please do not give me this bullshit of, oh, he wanted to see the banner. The banner is going to be there all year long. I mean, Juan Thornhill was watching the banner on TV. I mean, I get it. He went to play for a different team, but still, don't give me the bullshit that he wanted to see the banner. Come on. If you're there, you got to be putting on the pads and everything. I agree with you, Dustin. That was such a weird scene between his agents. I don't know, man. That was just weird. Yeah, this is quite the run for the Chiefs. I know people are talking about the 5-year run because you got to go back to Super Bowl 54, and then the 2 Super Bowls the Chiefs did not win, and then they were able to win the following 2. But it even goes back 1 year before that with the AFC Championship appearance, having the 3rd highest scoring output in NFL history. I mean, a lot of people thought the Miami Dolphins were going to break the Chiefs record for that, but they couldn't. And they couldn't finish the season well. 10 seasons in a row, 1,000 yards for Mike Evans. I will not doubt that. Not at all. I think he's very well on his way. The only thing that stops him is injury, man. I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon. I don't know, Paul. I mean, he's still getting 1,000 yards, as we just talked about. Wish I had the other Mike Evans salary. Yeah, that would have been nice. Would have been nice for sure. Do you think Calvin Ridley from the Jags would be a suitable wide receiver for the Chiefs? He definitely would be a cheaper option. He would not be as expensive as a Mike Evans or DeAndre Hopkins if he's available, or T. Higgins. No. I think he certainly would fit this offense. Listen, I think any wide receiver would work in this offense. If you have the speed, it just helps even more. I know Calvin Ridley probably not considered one of the fastest players in the NFL, but at the end of the day, you can win with anyone. Andy Reid will find ways to get you in open space. Andy Reid just simply does that. And listen, I know there's all this talk about how, it went from, Tyreek Hill is why Patrick Mahomes succeeds. And then you win 2 Super Bowls without, no, it's Andy Reid. Wait till Andy Reid's gone. Patrick Mahomes has been playing well before Andy Reid, like in college. Patrick Mahomes was a great quarterback. He was not getting as much coverage as Deshaun Watson. No. And I think it has to do with the fact that Texas Tech was just not a good football team. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury, I don't think he had a season over 500 while coaching in the Big 12. You got to keep that in mind. But whether Andy Reid's a head coach or not, in this offense, as long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback, a lot of wide receivers will succeed. And listen, MVS probably should have had a better season last year. Kadarius Toney should have had a much better season last year. Mahomes found ways to get the football at least hitting Kadarius Toney's hands. It's not Mahomes' fault that those guys could not catch the football. I mean, if KT would have caught those passes, he would have had much better stats this season. I'll read a few more and then I'll get out of here. Antoine says, I agree with you. Chris Jones, did he ever talk about that scene? Are you talking about the week 1 game where he's sitting with his agents? I don't know. I can't recall. I know he did a press conference after he had that revised deal, but I don't know. It just, I will say this, because the following week the Chiefs went to go play in Jacksonville. It would have been kind of cool, like if Chris Jones did follow the team and decided to watch the game from the Jacksonville Jaguars swimming pool, which I don't know why you would want to watch a game from there, but to each their own. That would have been kind of funny to see Chris Jones in his swimsuit just watching the Chiefs, and they keep panning to him. By the way, I was at that Lions game, so I didn't watch it on TV. Did they pan to Chris Jones often? Because I'm kind of thinking, like, compare and contrast, like, the amount of times they cut to Taylor Swift. Did they cut to Chris Jones often? I don't know. I mean, I like I said, I was at the game, so I don't know. The Chiefs will have to have 5 bad offensive linemen for them to not continue to make the AFC Championship every year. Mahomes isn't going down easy. No, they've got 3 great interior offensive linemen. They can improve the offensive tackles there, and they're going to be looking for a new left tackle this offseason, whether it's going to be Tyron Smith or a draft pick. I don't know. But, man, I just think ultimately, I do agree with you. As long as he has good offensive linemen, and Jawan Taylor, I'll get to Taylor in a second, but if he has 5 good offensive linemen, he'll thrive. Now, about Jawan Taylor, he had a lot of penalties this year, especially those pre-snap penalties, which were dumb because Lane Johnson does the exact same thing. By the way, the whole Jawan Taylor false start thing was weird to me because what he did in the preseason was exactly the same. And in the Detroit game, and like I said, I was at that game, so I did not know about the broadcasters making a big deal out of that whole thing. I mean, nobody from Detroit's sidelines was lashing out at the referees for Jawan Taylor. And again, because of how big of a deal the whole Juwan Taylor thing was early on in the season, I went back and I watched every preseason offensive snap that Taylor was a part of. He was doing the same thing, and nobody said anything then. But because, a couple of broadcasters made such a big deal about it, it just turned into a weird deal. By the way, who's still watching? If you guys are watching, just comment below like an emoji or something, because it says there's only one viewer. That's interesting. I don't know if we crashed or what. I'll answer these questions and get out of here. I mean, if that's a glitch, I guess we'll keep going a little bit, but that is kind of weird. Would we do better in a draft for a wide receiver that are free agent? I think you would need to consider both, because there are some very good wide receivers. The good thing about the Chiefs is their two biggest needs on offense are wide receiver and left tackle. And this is a very good draft for both. You've got a lot of opportunities to try to improve in those areas. So I think the Chiefs would need to consider both. I would not be shocked one bit if the Chiefs draft two wide receivers this year. I think you have to if you're the Chiefs. There are a lot of good wide receivers available both in the first and second rounds. A lot of good left tackles, too, that'll be available in the first and second rounds. And I went over that on Wednesday's podcast, too. So I encourage you guys to check that out if you haven't done so already. Justin, you get the last comment. Justin says, sign Evans, Eckler, Snead, draft a wide receiver in the first round. Sounds like Gay is going to walk, so Tranquil getting re-signed would be huge. Strength of the D is our back seven. Yeah, in terms of all of that, they're signing Evans and Eckler. I'd love Evans. Eckler would be an interesting one there because he's probably going to demand a lot of money. And listen, I'm not on the anti-running back pay them train, but in this offense, I don't know if that benefits you as much. Not to say Eckler would not do anything good for this offense. He'll do great things for this offense. But I just think you have to be very careful with what you're going to be spending this offseason when you have to consider, offensive linemen as well, left tackle specifically speaking. All right, guys, I'm caught up on the comments. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Appreciate all of you guys who joined in for this Red Friday live chat. My name is Farzi Vasugian. Thank you guys once again for your viewership, your comments, all of that. I will talk to you all next week. We will do the podcast on Wednesday, and we will do another edition of the Red Friday live chat next Friday. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Enjoy your Friday. Take care.